When you hear the name Berkshire Hathaway, you probably think of financial success. It's a legendary company, built by an even more legendary investor. But right now, this fortress of American capitalism is facing its biggest transition ever. It is standing at a monumental crossroads.
And just to give you a sense of scale here, we're talking about a company with a market value that has crested $1 trillion. This isn't just some ordinary company. It is a true titan of the global economy, really a proxy for the health of American industry itself.
And that really gets us to the heart of the matter, the central question we're tackling here. With its iconic founder, Warren Buffett, stepping back, can this financial empire, this fortress, continue to not just survive, but actually thrive in a whole new era?
To really understand where Berkshire's going, we first have to understand where it came from. So let's take a look at the incredible machine that Warren Buffett built, piece by ingenious piece. So believe it or not, this all started back in 1965 with a dying textile mill. But the real masterstroke, the moment everything changed, was in 1967. That's when Buffett bought an insurance company. And this pivot, it transformed a business that just ate up capital into one that generated it, setting the stage for massive bets on American infrastructure and now a huge transition to new leadership.
Okay, let's dive into the secret sauce of this whole operation, something called insurance flute. Basically, it's the money an insurance company gets to hold on to, the premiums everyone pays, before it has to pay out any claims down the road. For most companies, it's just a temporary holding fund. But for Berkshire, it became the engine of an entire empire.
And the scale of that engine is just, well, it's staggering. By the end of 2024, Berkshire had access to $171 billion of other people's money that it could then turn around and invest for its own benefit.
But here's where the real magic happens. Because they're so disciplined about the insurance policies they write, Berkshire often makes a profit on its insurance operations before even investing the float. This means the cost of all that capital isn't just zero, it's actually negative. As the slide says, they literally get paid to hold on to the money they invest. It's incredible.
So you let this incredible mechanism run for a few decades. And what do you get? Well, you get a financial fortress of a scale and diversity that is truly unparalleled. Let's take a look inside. And that fortress is so much more than just an insurance company. I mean, look at the revenue breakdown from 2024. You've got this diversified beast: manufacturing, logistics, energy, retail, you name it. It's this vast collection of businesses that really acts as a cross-section of the entire U.S. economy. Now, every single one of these businesses is a cash-generating machine. And when you put them all together, they create this absolute tidal wave of capital that flows right back to headquarters. But here's the thing. This incredible success has created a very high-class problem, a real paradox of prosperity.
And this number right here illustrates that problem perfectly. By late 2025, Berkshire was sitting on a record cash pile of over $381 billion. Now that's not just a war chest. At this size, it's an anchor. It's a sum so massive, it's actually becoming a drag on the company's ability to generate high returns.
So from the outside, the fortress looks completely impregnable, right? But if you take a closer look, you start to see some pretty critical stress points, cracks that are appearing in the walls of some of its most important businesses. We're going to focus on three major threats here. There's what you could call an existential crisis in its energy division, a really stubborn efficiency gap at its railroad, and a growing technology deficit in the very insurance business that started this whole thing. So the most urgent risk, the most immediate danger, is at Berkshire Hathaway Energy. This was once a super stable, predictable earner. But now this massive utility division is, well, it's quite literally under fire. Its subsidiary, Pacific Corp, is staring down the barrel of billions in wildfire liabilities. And because of a legal doctrine that basically holds utilities liable no matter what, their credit rating has been slashed to just above junk. Even Buffett himself has admitted that the old deal, where utilities invest money for a guaranteed return, that pact is now broken. Okay, next up, let's look at the backbone of American commerce, Berkshire's massive railroad, BNSF. The crack here isn't some sudden crisis, but it's this slow, grinding loss in a really crucial battle for efficiency. And wow, this chart says it all. The operating ratio is just a simple way of measuring how much it costs to earn a dollar. BNSF is spending 64 cents to make a buck, while its main rival, Union Pacific, is only spending 59.
Now that 5-cent gap might not sound like much, but it represents billions in lost profit, and it's a gap that's been there for years.
And that brings us to the third crack, and it's in a company you definitely know, Geico. For decades, Geico was the unstoppable growth engine of Berkshire, but today it's fighting a totally different kind of battle, an insurance tech war that it seems to be losing.
The evidence here is pretty stark. Progressive is just winning the battle for customers. Their policy growth has surged while Geico's has gone totally flat. So why is this happening? Well, it comes down to data. Progressive has a huge lead in telematics, that usage-based data from your car, and that lets them price risk way more accurately. They're basically cherry-picking the best drivers and leaving Geico to play catch-up.
So, let's just recap for a second. You've got a broken utility model, a railroad that's falling behind, an insurer that's technologically challenged, and a mountain of cash that's too big to deploy effectively. The monumental task of steering this fortress, well, it now falls to new leadership.
And that leadership is embodied by CEO-designate Greg Abel. He is now the one tasked with solving these immense challenges, both the operational ones and the capital allocation ones. And he has to do it all without the legendary Warren Buffett at his side.
So his success, and really Berkshire's entire future, is going to hinge on three absolutely defining questions. Can anyone allocate capital with the same skill as Buffett? Can these deep operational problems actually be fixed? And what on earth do you do with a cash pile so huge that almost no acquisition is big enough to even matter?
And all of this brings us to the new reality of Berkshire Hathaway. The Berkshire of the past, it was a high-growth compounding machine. But today, it's matured into something different. It's more like a resilient, tax-efficient index of the entire U.S. economy. The future outlook isn't for spectacular growth anymore, but for steady, GDP-plus type returns with a whole lot less risk.
The financial fortress Warren Buffett built was absolutely designed to withstand any storm. It was built to last. But as it sails into a new era, facing brand new challenges, and under a new command, the ultimate question still remains. Can it still win?